Okay, so hello and welcome to the Enlightened Couch Potato Show. I'm Nicholas Rave, and this is...
Adrianne Gunn. We're here with you today.
And what
at
do
this
we
now
do here?
moment. Well, we like to help people learn how to watch movies and television for maximum psychological and spiritual development. That's what we do.
Nailed it.
I did.
And this week, we are experimenting with changing up our format a little bit. So I had the idea that rather than being kind of scattered and talking about everything that we've been watching, which is what we've been doing for a while, that instead that we sort of deep dive on one thing specifically, and then we could like assign projects and then put our thoughts together about the movie and then come back and discuss it. And so this time we're going to talk about one of my really favorite action movies from the 90s. And this was true even in the 90s. I remember seeing this as like a teenager or something and being like, this movie rocks. And I've thought about it periodically throughout the years. I'd seen it a handful of times, and I never hear people talk about this. Like, this movie to me should be up there with like Die Hard and other classic 90s action movies.
Right.
And I absolutely loved it. I loved going back and rewatching it. It definitely screams 90s action movie for sure.
Yeah.
But I found it much deeper this time than I have in the past, which I think is a testament to our Enlightened Couch Potato methodology. So what are your thoughts on The Long Kiss Goodnight starring Geena Davis and Samuel L. Jackson?
Long Kiss Goodnight. So when you brought it up, a month ago, it feels like a long time. You were very insistent that I watch it than I did, and then it's been a long time since you finished the end of it. I was like, what are you talking about?
It was my fault.
So I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that. Geena Davis, Samuel L. Jackson. And that was it for me. I'm like, oh yeah, a film existed. I think there was action. I watched a lot of things back then too. And I think it's really fascinating that I seem to have the same, I don't know, illness that everybody else has with this particular movie, where it was like, oh yeah, that happened and it's completely gone. Especially because I like Geena Davis, and I went back and I was looking at her IMDb, and we were talking about like, wait, she's amazing. Why hasn't she been up to more? Why didn't they utilize her? And I had theories about like, you know, the over 40 actress gets like benched in the 90s, early 2000s. Like, it wasn't until 2008-ish when television started bringing back older actors and actresses back into the world, and that became rad. So
yeah,
she'd done Thelma and Louise, League of Her Own, and then some weird... Okay, did you know?
Cutthroat Island.
I was going to ask you about it. I looked it up. I'm like, what? Female pirate? What now? With the...
Oh my God. It is a legendary bomb. It's not bad. Like, if you watch it, I'm like, I don't know why people didn't like this movie. But it is legendarily, it was the biggest loss of any movie at the time, because they actually built fucking pirate ships, real basically, and then blew them up. It was like $120 million movie when that was a big deal. And and it made like 40 or something. I don't remember the actual numbers. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, but I remember that it was on lists of like the biggest box office failures of all time. But she is a swashbuckling, swinging from ropes from one ship to the other pirate in that movie, and it's great.
I've heard zero about it. I don't know how I completely missed that movie exists. Maybe they didn't advertise it.
You want to do that one
anywhere.
Next?
Oh my God,
I was going to watch it with Faye.
There's like quick changes in there too with Bill Murray.
Yes.
One of the Quaids.
I don't remember. I only vaguely remember that one.
That happened in between there too, before she did Long Kiss Goodnight. Okay, so Long Kiss Goodnight, the premise is
Yeah, we'll let you know when we're getting to spoilers, but we'll give like the basic premise and then overall thoughts, and then we'll go into spoiler territory.
Premise is a woman has amnesia. She's in the suburbs of like, is it Jersey?
I think so, yes.
Okay. A woman living in the suburbs of Jersey has amnesia. Her life starts as she sort of is saved and wakes up on some beach, and then she's like starting over, not knowing who she is.
And she was pregnant when she woke up.
Yeah, when she woke up. And and then for reasons unknown, her family home is attacked, and the adventure begins. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the.
Yeah, there's a scene. She's in a Christmas parade, and it's broadcast on TV. And some guy sees her, and you don't know why, but he freaks out and then breaks out of prison, and then attacks her home. Yeah. And this is all about her past coming back to haunt her.
And she has been trying to figure out who she is. So she'd been going to many different PAs, private investigators, to try to figure out. So Samuel Jackson happens to be one of these private investigators that she had been hiring, one of the last low rent PIs that has her case file for some reason. Yeah, so that's where it starts.
There's not a lot more to get into. We can talk big picture. It was written by Shane Black, who also wrote Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and a number of other movies that I think he's a great action writer and sometimes director. There's a few major exceptions to that, but he wrote Iron Man 3, which is one of the good ones from my perspective. I like that one
so much.
I like that one a lot. And it's a very Shane Black movie. He wrote The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and I Punch People When I'm Drunk. What's his name? Russell Crowe. And that was a good movie too. Like, he has a very particular style, but it's just, I love it. It's so fun. And this was a very Shane Black kind of script. He didn't direct it. Lots of good stunts. Some silly action moments, to be sure. Massive destruction and explosions, and just very Die Hard in that sense. But to me, the deeper themes are what make this movie interesting. Like, I do not think that I would read as much into Die Hard as I did with this. And Die Hard to me is just about a guy who's trying to do the right thing and he's not going to quit. But there's something else in this one about a lost identity that has certain skills that she is scared of, but she also needs. And then it's a story about integration. Yeah.
So if we drop
I think we
in
should go into spoilers then.
We're going to get into spoiler world. So, the amnesia theme is interesting. It's been explored kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's a writing trope for sure.
Yeah, I love it in the soap operas.
Yes.
Like, nearly every character's have amnesia for reasons.
Yeah.
The things that trigger her memories, or what it means to, like, our brains are so fascinating, the ways in which, they could be injured and then you lose access to where you stored stuff, or something traumatic can happen such that, oh no, this is too scary, we can't look at it right now, we're going to hide it until you have new, better resources to actually manage and handle that. So tons of people who have repressed memories or don't remember their childhood, that is likely the picture, is something was scary enough to their unconscious mind that they're like, oh no, we're just going to wait, we're just going to store this somewhere behind your knee or something, and then when you need it later, or you have the better resources to manage whatever happened to you, then we'll just bring it out.
Yeah. Well, and it's important to point out this is a Hollywood version of this phenomena of disconnecting from parts. Like, I was having a conversation recently. Do you ever see The United States of Terra?
Oh, heck yeah.
So Toni Collette is a fucking goddess. She's one of my favorite actresses of all time.
Yeah.
And she just incredible. And I kind of hated that show. And I thought her performances I mean, she plays multiple characters because she has dissociative identity disorder. I didn't like that show because even though it was trying to portray the difficulties of this, it still, in many ways, from my perspective, glorified this this trauma pattern, this brain disorder, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And it definitely Hollywoodified in a way that I was watching it. And I know enough about DID to go, if I had dissociative identity disorder, one of two things: either this show would be really bad for me,
right,
or I would hate it and be very offended by it. So when it comes to amnesia, I like thinking of it, because you and I do this all the time, as aspects of ourselves. Instead of thinking about like, well, I've never had amnesia, so this isn't relevant to me. You think about it like, no, but you can forget parts of yourself. And it's not with repressed memories of trauma in our past. It's not so much that we forget entire things that happened. That's kind of a myth. There's a good book on it called The Myth of Repressed Memories by Elizabeth Loftus, if you want to look more into this. That doesn't really happen that way. But what does happen is you lose connection with certain ways of being, of certain responses to certain behaviors. So something happens to you and you have a response, and then at some point that ability to respond in that way is forgotten and lost. And that's where I thought this movie was so good about bringing back this thing that's scary. And like, I have my ideas on what I think that is archetypally.
Right. So what happens for her, she's taking someone home after a Christmas party on the ice, and they crash into an elk.
That's right.
And she hits her head, or she flies through the windshield, or some such happens. I don't know if the old dude dies or not. I don't remember.
Oh, I think he does.
So yeah, she's
pretty
like
sure the car
bleeding,
burned up.
And the car's burning up, and then somehow she has new access, having bonked her head, to some old skills, which she first discovers with cutting food, I think.
Well, I think she has a vision when she hit her head.
Yeah.
Where she sees herself standing on a cliff above the ocean at night, and there's a mirror, and she's looking in the mirror, but it's a different version of her with different hair.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm coming back. And she says, do you have a cigarette? And she goes, I don't smoke. And she says, you used to. And then she's like, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And then it's like scary, and she like attacks her. And then you're like, oh, what is this thing that's coming back? And then, then the cutting food thing, you can tell that part.
I'm loving it. She's like in the kitchen, like being made fun of by her like husband and her kid or whatever, because she's slowly chopping vegetables and maybe not being useful. But at some point, she just like gets into a zone, and then she's like chopping all the vegetables. She's like, throw all the vegetables at me.
She's such a sweet scene.
I must have been a chef. I must have been a chef. And then she throws up a pepper, and then like throws the knife at the pepper. At the wall,
like,
she's like
spins through the air and stabs into the wall.
She's like, chefs do that.
Yeah, everybody kind of stops and looks at her, and she's like, chefs do that.
Totally, they do.
Yeah.
So fascinating. I'm not sure. Like later, when there's more conflict between the two, as she's discovering, like, I think it's interesting how slowly they allow this other self to come into her body. Because in like newer, more recent things, you get a bonk on the head, and then suddenly she's instantaneously the other person, like more. But this particular movie does it so slowly. I'm getting grumpy.
It takes its time, and they torture her literally before it comes out. And it's like, that's how hard it is, and how desperate things have to get before she'll let her guard down, and this thing will come back out. And then, yeah.
I mean, like her house is getting blown up, and her
and that part's not enough.
No, it's very interesting. I also, Samuel L. Jackson is so very himself
Right?
in
This is like
everything
one
he's
of the
in.
most Samuel L. Jackson roles Samuel L. Jackson has ever done. Although I don't know if he says motherfucker.
He
Does he?
does.
He
He
does. Okay.
does. Yeah, a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a thing about, does he get paid a couple 3 million per motherfucker something?
That,
That's
that might
extra.
be more recent than that movie, but yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice for sure. I'm like, there's a dynamic between the two of them that I kind of don't buy it.
Mm,
It's a weird, like, here's these two are on this adventure together. There's something
yeah.
scratchy to me about it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
his motivation was not totally clear. I do like the ending where they like give him this moment of recognition, which speaks back to the character building moment where he tries to be nice to his kid and his kid is like, you probably stole this. And he's like, no, I didn't. And then yeah, and so there's a nice callback to that, but they don't really, from a script perspective, they don't really tie in why is that connected to why he wants to help her. He doesn't have a lot of clear motivation for putting his life in danger in this way, other than
Yeah,
you're sure a nice lady and I don't want to have anything bad happen to you. And then
yeah,
he just stays with her through all this. But I mean,
true.
I still liked it, but I get you from a writing perspective, that was a little weak.
Yeah. And yeah, there's also Atlantic City is an interesting place to suddenly end up when your self decides to like fully emerge, this like
Mm,
old self. I don't know. There's some funny stuff there. I don't know that I had any. I know that in life there's there is a version of me that I have repressed. There's a like a 2007 version of Adrianne that I was scared of for some years, and figuring out how to like reintegrate that part of myself is like part of the story. And that like came up and I'm like, oh, I might be relating to this,
so what do you
but
feel like if you
relatedly.
had to go with like what's the big takeaway or the big theme for you? Like if we were to sum up like your Enlightened Couch Potato journey with this movie, how did it impact you and what was it personally transformative for you? And then I'll share mine.
So I straight up am confused about why this movie didn't launch a whole bunch of actresses' action careers, because
Right?
Geena Davis does kick ass in
She
this.
nails
And
it.
yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird. And it's more like this movie is more common now with like Peppermint recently with Jennifer Garner,
Yeah.
and like all the Shirley Theron movies, and those. It's just so weird that we have like a dirge of like a decade of not this kind of movie.
Yeah, I would take Geena Davis over Sandra Bullock or any of those other people at that time, and even any of the almost any of the action stars now. She's so, I mean, she's like 6'2" or something like that too, and she's built like she's actually got some meat on her bones. Like you believe it when she starts throwing guys around. I'm like, okay, yeah, because I can see her shoulders, and
Yeah.
I'm like, and she's gorgeous and charming as fuck
Mm-hmm.
and hilarious for comedic timing when she like comes in the backyard and that kid is smoking and then
Yeah.
she's holding a fucking rifle and she's like, what did I tell you about smoking? And then she takes the cigarette and smokes it and then it's like, if you tell anybody that you saw me, I'll kill you. And then she like throws the cigarette back and like she's so good. I love
Yeah.
her in this role.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because even more epically than this movie, I think Geena Davis in League of Their Own
Oh yeah.
is one of the most powerful and inspiring humans just kicking ass. And it's so fascinating how like her integrity in that movie is actually, that movie to me is a bit more like fuck yeah. It's like she like deeply is really good at this thing, and then she like does it for a year and then she's just done because I don't know, there's something about her fortitude in that I was like, ooh, wow. When I grow up I want to feel that great and that certain about anything. So for this movie, for me, boy, I still haven't integrated it because there's, I don't know what we call it, like bad girl assassin lady, and then teacher, like loving teacher lady with family, and how the two of them can like play well together, and that one of them has things that the other one wants and needs, and that they both probably always existed together.
There was a key moment when Sam Jackson's character says to her, I think what happened was for 8 years you forgot to hate yourself. And that speaks to that idea that the school teacher was there before, but she wasn't able to come out. When I think about this movie archetypally, the way that it clicked for me this time was that this movie is about integrating your yang, specifically the aspect of yang that is the killer, the predator, the one who will fight back or even strike preemptively, and the deep fear we have about being dangerous.
Yes.
And I've heard it said before that you cannot be a protector if you are not dangerous yourself, because anyone else who is dangerous will kick the snot out of you. And there's something in this to me, especially about a woman, like the feminine incorporating that killer instinct and then integrating them, because she had the yin loving mothering self too, and at the end she's both. She's figured out, and then she also chooses to let the loving side lead, like spoilers for the very end. She's like, I'm going to go back to that life, the one where I have a daughter and a loving husband and I'm a school teacher, but I also can still kill you if I have to. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
That to me, just the fear around, I don't want this part to come out, because you don't want that part to lead. But sometimes it's like, no, the school teacher needs to go away now because this needs to come out.
And we had given ourselves the assignment to sort of figure out power. And I've been thinking about the predator aspect.
Yeah.
Since having watched that movie. I definitely have I've very much tucked away the like very competitive predator side of my human.
You know, this relates to the conversation we were having before the show started.
Yes.
About the striving, the struggle, where is that drive to go out and just conquer stuff?
Yeah.
That's the predator. That's the yang. Like in life, you're either the running away from the predator. And the weird thing about that is, like, a deer eating grass is in predator mode. Like, you're looking at it. The deer doesn't think of the grass as feelings. Neither does the tiger eating the deer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just an object that I'm about to eat, and I'm not concerned about it. That's the predator mode. And what we want, if you want to be enlightened, is both of those. You want to have the yin and the yang, whereas the animals don't have that quite as much.
I think that's why burgers for me. When I think of it, like, the thing I don't want to do is just like and then like come up and it's drippy all over the place. That is viscerally why burgers have been calling to me. It's just, I just want to dig my teeth. You're just this deeply satisfying. Fucking get it in me.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
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 So this movie to me really was a great example of capturing that the yang side from the spiral dynamics values systems. It's that the odd number, particularly red. Mm-hmm. This movie is about embracing the values level 3, that red energy of, I want that, I'm going to go take it. And then what did she do? Instead of just being the selfish, I'm going to, have fun and make money and do drugs and all that, she's like, no, now I'm going to turn this and I'm going to use it to protect my daughter, and I'm going to use it to save, what did they say, like 7,000 people that were going to die at the end if she didn't save the day. So that's the hero. The hero brings the predator and tames the predator enough to aim it.
Yeah. They attempted to hire her continually for stuff. She turned that down?
Yeah.
Just double checking. I actually don't quite know what she does to satisfy. I mean, other than kill the noisy frog at the end there's some question mark about how does she satisfy that aspect of herself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe we don't see that. My assumption is, just based on how I'm sort of interpreting the happy ending of the story, is that the implication is that she's now the school teacher, but she hasn't lost it. And so that tells me that it's there. We just don't see how she does it. But maybe she gets into MMA fighting, or maybe she I don't know, maybe she handles it in the bedroom.
This is like potentially.
Yeah, her and her husband seemed very happy with each other. So maybe there's some stuff going on there.
Also, he's just chill. He's like, cool.
Yeah, right.
Like, there's, who knows? He is the wettest mop of any character I've seen in a very long time, which is great.
He's like, whoever you discover that you are, I will still love you. And that was really cool. I like that. There was a lot of emotionally tender moments that were really interesting to me. And like there was some like whiplash, like that the chopping scene is so sweet and so like authentic, and it feels really real and over the top and very Hollywood. They're throwing vegetables. Who the fuck is going to do that? But it's like, oh, this is so cool. And she's chopping all these things, and then she throws it, and you're like, oh, whoa, like that feeling of like it just turned on you, and like you feel what they're feeling. And then the fear when she finds the gun disassembled under her in her suit, hidden in her suitcase. Yeah. This is the luggage she's had for all this time, or maybe he brought it to her. I don't remember. But she opens it up, and there's this sniper rifle in there, and then she's like, oh, I know how to put this together. And like the feeling of like, oh my God, who was I? That's such a neat, like almost like Matrix-y kind of feeling. Like I love the way this show plays with identity and the feelings around who am I, and maybe there's a version of me that's in there that is fully formed, and I'm just out of touch with it.
Totally.
I play with that a lot in the coaching work that I do with people.
I think it's fascinating that this character that Samuel L. Jackson is playing, has the wisdom to not suddenly, as she's attacking him with sex, kind of.
Oh, right. I like that.
He's just like, yeah, I know what this is. You're just trying to like kill her for good.
Yeah.
The other lady. I remember the other lady, and I was like,
really? You didn't buy it? I just thought that meant he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Good guys don't exist.
I'm just attempting to be like, am I that good a guy?
If Geena Davis is coming on to you, would I be able to turn it down? I don't know.
It's like you're drunk. It's Atlantic City. Maybe. I don't know.
There's a line. I don't remember if I shared this with you before. There's a line from Game of Thrones that always stood out to me. Mm-hmm. And it's about, there's this, I can't remember. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
No, but I will at some point.
So there's this character named, I think it's like Dario Naharis or something like that. And he's the only character who the actor quit, and they had to find a different actor after the first scene, or after the first season.
Yeah.
But there's one scene when he ends up meeting, I'm totally going to fuck this up. He ends up meeting this character who's now a queen that he had met before when she was like a slave.
Okay.
And she asks him, I'm sure I'm getting this wrong. She asks him, why didn't you rape me, basically, when I was a slave? And he says, that doesn't interest me. And he said, there are the two greatest pleasures in life are making love with a woman who wants to, and taking the life of a man who doesn't want you to. And I've always been like, that was such a badass motherfucking moment to be like, no, the idea of having sex with someone who doesn't want it is gross.
Yeah.
And that, like, embracing that and going like, yeah, that's what it, well, maybe not the taking the life of a man who doesn't part, but like that part. That's a good part. And like for him to be like, oh, she doesn't really want me right now. Yeah. Like I'm just I'm just a tool that she wants to use. And like I think he did, that is an emotional maturity to notice that's what's going on. Totally. But again, I just thought that was like an indication that he was a good guy who'd had a shitty life up to that point, but deep down he had character, and I liked that.
Makes sense. It was, I don't know, it was also a little cringy for me for some reason. So,
yeah.
I'm just like, no. So it's great that it didn't happen, because I was like, I don't want to see it.
Oh, okay. No, I think it's supposed to be cringy in that way. Yeah. Like that was the point, is you were supposed to be like, ugh, this is not, and he could feel it too.
Yeah, that's fair. It's, I suppose, probably there are no like yes bells going off somewhere. I'm like, no, right, something else is happening. This is not happy yay times. Something weird's going on, and I don't want to play.
Can we talk about the ridiculous? Let me talk about my fate. Should we do good or bad first?
I don't know. Go for it.
Like, let's talk about the most ridiculous action scenes, and then let's talk about my favorite scene. So, for me, the fucking ice skates, really. Like they set it up when she's running into the house and she kicks the ice skates out of the way, and then the Samuel L. Jackson's driving away and she's like, I have to catch up to the car. There's a conveniently frozen lake right next to my house. And then real quick, I'm gonna lace up these these ice skates and I'm gonna skate faster than the cars so I can cut them off and shoot them. And oh, come on.
Also, like the physics of not like the back, what is it called when you're like
the kick?
Yeah, not moving you anyway.
Well, I there's just what is it? The like you have to like you have to shut off your suspension of disbelief moments. And there's a lot, we've gotten better at that. Like movies are getting better in general about having fewer and fewer of those. And the more you go back in time, the more you're just like, okay.
Somebody's like
John Wick is a pretty good example where at least the first one in particular. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What? I don't know, she's female assassin. Skates, because it's winter. Also, this is a Christmas movie technically, so it gets to be
I noticed that too. This one, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Die Hard, is another secret Christmas action movie.
Yeah,
they just did that with all of them.
Wait a second. So the same guy wrote this movie, Iron Man 3 and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That guy has written 3 action Christmas movies.
I think there might be I think there might be another one too. I'll have to look that one up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what's is there another ridiculous? I'm not remembering them.
Other ridiculous ones. The other moment that made me just go was when she steals the truck that's been turned into a bomb, and then she of course the brake lines have somehow been cut.
Sure.
Like someone else was driving this and they were going to go someplace and stop the truck. They weren't just going to let it run. So nobody cut them. Like, how many bullets would you actually have to fire at something for the brake lines to get hit? And then the truck goes off a massive like overpass and turns on its side, and her 6-year-old whatever daughter is in a toolbox in the back. And I was just thinking, like, when she opens that, it's just gonna be like pudding.
Yeah, but even to get there, I remember now, most ridiculous, even to get there, she somehow figured out how to like blow open the freezer door.
Oh right, yeah, and she knew ahead of time to plan to put gasoline in the doll. Yeah, I don't know. That one was, at least they were trying to be creative about, like, she was going to solve a puzzle.
Sure.
So my favorite moment in the whole movie, and this moment is burned in my brain, is the torture scene with the cold water when they're dunking her. She's strapped up like this. They're dunking her in. They do it like 2 or 3 times. And the moment when she turns and you see the like Charlie, the killer, come out,
Yes.
and she's like, something about like, you touched me, I think I need a bath, and she's like, put me back in. And it's the same energy as Daniel Craig at the end of Casino Royale when the guy's torturing him and he's like laughing at him while he's torturing him, and it's like, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. And that is a power move right there.
Yeah.
And then when she comes out and she's got the gun and she rises out of the water, that moment was burned into my brain when I first saw it. It's so badass.
Yeah. This is the scene where she starts to get all of her memories back, and this other part of her completely returns. I did not somehow remember from watching it, decades ago, that she has to like grab through the old guy's junk to get that gun.
Yeah, and they set that up. They were like, most guys aren't comfortable patting down another. So that's why he keeps it there. And she remembers, and they don't over the top, like, they don't play a voiceover of the guy saying it again.
No.
They're just like, you have to remember that happened, which I appreciate. They didn't spoon feed you quite that much. Some movies are bad about that. But overall, I felt like this movie to me was as an archetypal metaphor for embracing the scarier aspects of your yang, and then doing that in a female character increases the distance that she has to go, at least culturally. Like, the programming is, it's more acceptable for guys to go there than it is for women. I'm not saying that's right. That's wrong. It should be more acceptable, but the story is more profound. If this was a story about a guy who's a school teacher and he becomes, it's not as great a distance for her to go from mother and school teacher to believable badass killer. And that makes it like a deeper integration in you or in me when I watch it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'd say I didn't feel grumpy about the time I spent. Which is fascinating because it's an old movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot to just sort of go, 90s.
Yep.
Yeah. Damn it. Geena Davis.
Solid movies are solid movies. Like, you go back and watch Back to the Future, and that movie does not have a wasted moment. Yeah. Every single line pays off somewhere. And this is not that quality of perfect movie, but it's a solid movie that holds up. Like, when you go back and watch really good movies from the 70s or even the 60s, like, they're still good. They're still solid.
Oh, my unconscious mind is telling me why this movie did not stand out for me. And it's saying it twice because it happened twice. So, La Femme Nikita.
Yeah. Oh, was this before or after that?
No, it's around the same time. So La Femme Nikita, the French film,
yes,
is similar, I think, to a woman who has amnesia, doesn't remember she's an assassin, I believe, something like that. And then they made the TV show La Femme Nikita with this Australian actress who was also amazing. And this is pre-Alias by a few years.
Okay, so this is why I was asking, when did that come out?
Right.
Because this is almost certainly, when people reviewed this, they probably said, oh, this is a Nikita ripoff. And because that one happened in 1990 and this was like 96, 93, something like that.
And when did the TV show happen?
96. The TV show happened, I just looked it up. La Femme.
Because I think they did it. Okay, I think there are 3. There's the French.
1997. So the TV show happened right after this.
Yeah. So there's a French film, there's an American remake, and then I think there's a TV show.
Mhm.
And they're all happening in this sort of chunk of time.
Mhm.
Fascinating, because I was like super into that movie.
You're totally right. I believe that is probably culturally why people missed it too, because they were like, I've already seen this movie.
Dude. Thanks, Unconscious Mind.
Yeah,
Yeah, now
I bet you're 100% right.
I want to go back and see those. Because I forget
Well,
who did the American version of it.
what do you feel? Was it? No, I'm going to say that out loud and then be very embarrassed. uh, oh, this is good television right here. Watching us look things up on the internet.
Okay. The movie, though.
1990 is the
French one.
Right.
There's an American remake, I swear.
I don't see an American remake.
Am I making it up? I don't think I'm making it up. Oh, man.
This is probably something we should do later.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about, I mean, this is a rabbit hole bunny trail for sure. And I don't know how deep it would be, but do you want to do Cutthroat Island? I was going to watch it anyway.
Okay, let's do Cutthroat Island, but also talk about WandaVision next time we're back.
Oh, okay. Let's do a double feature. That's good. Because is it going to be done? It's not. There's 2 more episodes. So next time we will be right before the last episode.
Ooh, okay. I guess we can wait on that.
Maybe. Well, we can find something else to talk about if we need to have 2 things. But I like this. I like talking about one thing and going really deep. What do you think?
It works. It works. I just hope we do it like where we agree and then we both show up on the same day having recently seen it.
Yes. And also next time I want one that you feel like you had a personal impact with, or I mean, like the point of Enlightened Couch Potato is that theoretically you should be able to do this methodology with any movie, even a movie you don't like.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge for us, is like, can you do it with Cutthroat Island? And some movies are easier than others, but at some point I want to do this with something that's like meaningful and significant for you. Perfect. And then I'll go and have that journey, because this one was really meaningful to me.
Yeah, well, and I didn't know that you told me to watch it, and then I did, and then just last week you're like, here's what I want to do, and I was like, I didn't have it.
And then I was like, before. Okay. All right. So we'll do that. Let's do that with Cutthroat Island.
Okay.
And see, because I think this movie is silly.
Oh my gosh.
And then we'll see if we can challenge ourselves, and then we'll pick some. You pick something after that. Okay.
Okay. We're gonna have a profoundly deep learning
with a silly pirate movie.
Yay!
I'm kind of super excited because I was already going to do this with Faye, and she's like over the moon about it. She's like, there's a pirate movie I haven't seen. She's like, she used to sail, like she was on a tall ship for like a whole summer. Yeah. Like she would have to sit up in the thing, be cold, and like, yeah.
Nice. All right.
So, anyway, all right. Accepted. That was fun. I'll see you next week.
All right.
Later.